it's just being tough. Like literally at the end of the day, like underwaters, it is not the most technically like complicated thing in the sport of swimming. But at the end of the day, you make a decision. Like underwaters are a decision. Like if you want to get to 15 meters, you got to be. It's between the ears. Like, so yeah, I think a lot of it is just like you just have to look at it head on and kind of embrace it. And I think that's what the best underwater swimmers in the world do.
Swimmers! Swimmers! Take your marks.
Welcome to another episode of the Get Out Swim podcast. I'm your host, Seamus T. Quinn, and today I'm joined by IU legend and three-time NCAA champion. This is Brendan Burns. So, Brendan, thanks for hopping on, man.
Thank you so much for having me, Seamus. Really appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah, this is so cool to be able to connect. I remember watching NCAAs, a couple months ago now, seeing you get out after the 100 back, and I'm sure you've heard this recounted to you so many times at this point. Plus, you've probably seen the video like 100 times. But seeing the emotion that you carried just out of the pool after winning, out of the outside lane, kind of in your backyard there. In Indiana was so cool. It was just such a sweet moment to watch. I remember turning to my brother and being like, "That's so cool." And I don't know that enough people recognize it. That was also like a back-to-back title for you. You're defending champ in that event, so I was like, that's pretty special. And yeah, it's just cool to have you on. Excited to kind of get to know you a little bit more, what you're up to now. And so yeah, I guess I'll start by just asking you kind of where you're at as far as preparation goes for Olympic trials here, because we are, what is it, less than a month out now from being, in Indy, or is it 3 weeks or
3 weeks?
How long?
Yeah,
3 weeks.
pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
wild.
preparation going pretty well. Just kind of locking in last couple weeks. That the big T word taper is right around the corner. Hopefully looking to get some of that next week. And then at trials, I'll be swimming. I'll be entering 2 free 100 back, 2 back 100 fly. 2 free and 100 back are the same day, so I might swim both. I might drop one of them. Not sure yet. I'll talk with my coaches about that. But really, just looking forward to like NCAA is having another big meet in our backyard, and this time it's at Lucas Oil Field. It's going to be, regardless of how how I swim, whatever. I'm just really going to enjoy the experience and soak it all up. It's I remember trials 3 years ago. It was a great experience. They really did the best they could in the COVID circumstances, but everyone kind of felt like, COVID took a lot away from that, especially with 2 waves and everything. It just wasn't really the true trials experience that most people were used to. And now it's going to be just all out. It's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be incredible. So really looking forward to it.
Definitely. Are you going to have a lot of like family and support in the stands, just with, like your family maybe in general, but then also IU and all the supporters that all kind of, come to support?
Mm-hmm. So my family will be there. And then Hoosier Nation, our parents are, everyone always raves about the Cal parents, and they definitely deserve a lot of credit. They do a great job of traveling with their team, and they bring the bear costumes, which I think is great. It's such a fun part of our sport. But our parents, man, they are something else. They're totally crazy. They're really just are the most supportive for us, and I'm really looking forward to having a good time with them in Indy in our backyard.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's something that's not talked about enough, or like should be covered, is like the little communities of parents that support each school, like at, events like NCAAs or Big Tens or even like Olympic trials. Cause obviously like swimming is still growing. Hopefully we can get it to a point where, we have like just general fans and spectators coming in to watch. But for the most part, when you're at these meets, especially like, NCAAs or like Big Tens or even just dual meets, like a lot of the fandom is comprised of like the parents and the families and those that are like close supporting the swimmers. And it's just interesting when, you can actually see the camera panning to like, the Cal kind of parents and the bear costumes from the alumni or the IU section. And it's like, it's actually really cool because there's a lot of coordination that goes into, like, there's a lot of behind the scenes work. I know from, knowing how it went at my school. It's like a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into like all the coordination of all that. So it's actually really cool. and I love it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's so much work behind the scenes. They put in, so much work into just making us feel, I don't know, making us feel supported. And that's a big thing I'll take away from college swimming. That's something that I want to continue on, like making sure that next year I want to be at NCAAs for the guys. I mean, our team, it's crazy how, next year we're going to be better than we were this year by a long shot, which is going to be really awesome to watch. And I really want to make sure I can get to I don't think I can get to all the dual meets, with a job or anything, but I'll try and get to as many as I can. And NCAAs is a big priority for me. I really want to be there, make sure that I can give the guys on the team currently the same experience that I've had for the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. You guys are only getting like better. I just saw Matt King announce that he's going to be moving to IU next year. I was like, that's a huge get. You
I'm
guys
the only
got
one left on the team, so he decommitted my freshman year, and we were, a little bit upset about it. We knew how talented he was, and obviously he went on to have a great career at Bama and Virginia. And it's so funny the state of college swimming right now, where he's just coming all the way back, and we're excited. We're really, we really needed an elite sprinter like him to make this really serious run for a national championship. I say we, like I'm still on the team, but like, for the guys that are on the team, they really needed that elite sprinter, and he's more than capable of being that for the team. So now I don't know, it's really, really looking up for next year. Really exciting.
for sure. And then keeping the breaststroke tradition going. I know you guys have Brian Benzing, the mid-major guy, coming in next year too.
He would
To
have
help
been our
out.
best breaststroker this year. Pretty
Yeah,
close to it. Yeah.
right, for sure. Yeah, and he'll get to train alongside people like Matheny and some of the other breaststrokers that you guys have there. So that's pretty cool.
Jason
Um,
Yep, Big Ten champ. Jason Yep.
Jason, yep, there you go.
Yeah.
There's another guy right there. So you guys, yeah, breaststroke. I was talking to him. And it was like it's breaststroke university over there. I mean, not to say that you guys don't have all the strokes covered, but definitely breaststroke is one that kind of rings a bell just with some of the alumni like Cody and Lily and the names that people know of. But
Right.
um,
You're totally
but
right. It is definitely breaststroke you, but the rest of us, we kind of can't stand that crap, man. Like at Big Ten's 100 back, it was the day of the 100 backstroke and the 100 breaststroke. We both had, I forget how many finalists, but we challenged ourselves, backstroke versus breaststroke, who could score more points. And the 100 backstroke scored more points than the 100 breaststroke. So we kind of threw that in their face a little bit. And then the next day
100%.
in the 200s of backstroke and breaststroke, Kai Van Westering, my roommate and teammate, and I went 1-2 in the 200 back. But then those losers in breaststroke group, they'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of one up us. So it's a little bit of it's some great when we're competing like that at that level, and we're doing those kind of like silly little mind games. That's when we know we're like a really good team. Like we're not like,
Sure.
oh my god, like we gotta just put these guys in the A final. It's like, no, we're like competing against each other. And I remember like swimming that 200 back at Big Tens. I'm like, the only guy I'm worrying about is Kai. I know he's the only one that can keep up with me. I know the work that he's put in this year. He had recently made the Olympics for the Netherlands, which was amazing. He hit a really good Doha World Championships performance, and he just came in and had a really great lights out Big Tens. And honestly, if anyone else had a good race in that 200 backstroke final, I don't think I would have won, but I was just solely focused on Kai, who was right next to me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I'm happy you touched on it. I remember watching the two back. I think that two back video started surfacing on like my social media. I don't think I was watching it live, but following results, and I saw that just battle between you guys. And what's showcasing there is the underwater work too. Like just being able to kind of stay just like committed to the underwaters, even on those last 25, the last 50, and you guys just like pushing each other, whether it's like you moving underwater or then Kai kind of coming back on the surface of the water. If I'm remembering correctly, that was really cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's why he kicks my butt long course. So he's 156 now, and I'm 201. So he's up next. Seriously, like he's gonna do some damage in Paris this summer. He's currently at the Mare Nostrum swim series over in Barcelona. So he's not really rested for that. We don't really know. He's just kind of going there just to get some racing in, some international racing. It's pretty close to where he's going to be in the summer, in Paris. So we'll see how he does there. I think he'll do pretty well, and then I think he's gonna have a great Olympics, I think.
Yeah. And how old is he, or what year is he at IU?
So I actually don't really know what year he is. He's such an interesting guy. I love Kai. He is, I think, going to be a junior because he did. So during COVID, he came to America from France. He grew up in France, but his dad is Dutch, so that's why he represents the Netherlands.
Okay.
During COVID, he came here and trained with Mark Schubert out at either Mission Viejo or Fast. I forget which one. I think it was Mission Viejo. And so he did a year of community college at Saddleback Community College, I think it's called. So he came in with a bunch of credits. And last year was his first year, but he was technically a sophomore, and then this year was a junior. I don't know. He's a man of mystery. It's so funny just trying to figure him out, and he's just a great guy. I love living with him. Love racing him. He's been such a great addition to our team since he came.
That's awesome. But for sure, he still has more eligibility left at IU.
This year, and I think he has 2 more years. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And what are your thoughts just on how the landscape is kind of I don't know, I guess it was shaken up a little bit just with like Bob Bowman leaving to go to Texas, and then you have Herbie now taking over at ASU. And I mean, those are obviously the two powerhouse schools, obviously, with ASU finally getting that national championship as a team title, and then Texas, kind of dropped back this year to, I think they were 7th, but then, they're always going to be a presence, and especially with Bob. And then you guys were in there, just fighting it out with Florida. So it's like in NC State, of course. I mean, there's others, but I'm just like interested to hear like your thoughts on, how this all is going to just kind of unfold, I guess, or maybe change, like, especially with, all this movement too, with the transfer portal and just like the state of college swimming and college athletics.
Yeah. I mean, I think every couple of years, a new era of college sports in general, but specifically in this case, I think every couple of years, a new era of college swimming kind of starts. And sometimes it's more gradual than others. I think COVID was a pretty harsh, cutoff from like the pre-COVID era versus the COVID era now with all the 5th years and everything. But then I think this is another very hard like cut line. Like we'll look back in 5 or 10 years and be like, yeah, like everything changed after that ASU title in 24, and then they blew it up because Bob moved on to Texas. And then the conference realignment, literally everything is changing for this next year. ASU and Arizona going to the Pac-12, Texas and I guess just Texas going to the SEC. In the Big Ten, we're going to get USC and UCLA on the girls' side. That's a really big deal. USC is a really strong women's squad right now. And it's just, I mean, it's going to be different. I'm not really here for the doom and gloom. Recently the Grant House ruling was just revealed that the NCAA has to go back and pay some athletes. I think it's going to, I don't think it's going to be some changes necessarily that we like, but I don't want to buy into the doom and gloom, like end of college swimming kind of rhetoric. I don't really think that's very constructive. We'll kind of wait and see what happens. I think that a lot of universities, especially schools with stronger swimming programs, they'll find a way to make things work and kind of continue on. And also, like, I've been seeing a lot of good points brought up. Like, I think this will bring a lot of parity to swimming, which I think has been kind of needed. It's been a Texas Cal duopoly for 15 years, and that's really exciting. But it's really interesting that, totally deserved. Like they've been so strong for so long, but now, we're going to have maybe some rotating dynasties. Like you kind of see that on the women's side. Like for a long time, it was, going back like 15 years, it was like Georgia was really strong, and then Stanford was really strong, and now UVA is really strong. But Cal has this great recruiting class coming in a couple of years, and I think it's really interesting that on the women's side, there's kind of been that cyclical, like dynastic kind of thing going on, but on the men's side, it's just been a duopoly. And I think all these changes are going to bring some more parity, and it's also going to make, I think, D2 and D3 in mid-major schools a little bit stronger, because the opportunities, unfortunately, they're not going to be there at the top end, but then it's going to open up some new doors for other schools that aren't historically as strong to get maybe a guy like Brian Benzing, like he's clearly one of the best swimmers in the NCAA, and coming into college, he wasn't, but he went to Towson and has had a phenomenal career, and then he'll spend a 5th year here. But I think that we're going to see a lot more guys like Brian and all the other great mid-major swimmers that have popped up. Who's the breaststroker from Brown? Kelly, right? What was his name?
I think Jack Kelly, I think it is.
Yeah. So Brown, even in the Ivy League, Brown, not really a historical powerhouse, but to see a guy like that is great. Is great for the sport. It's always great for the sport when there's parity, when there's when there's new teams kind of emerging and making runs, and it's why people are interested in other sports. It's so hard to build a dynasty, specifically in college basketball, but like that's why people love it, because anything can happen at any time. In football, it's a little bit less so. You kind of know what's going to happen in football with the bigger programs. The more money you have, that's kind of where you are, and you're going to be winning a lot more. But I think it's just going to be different at the end of the day. All the changes, it's just going to be different, and we're going to adapt to it. And as long as people are passionate about our sport, then it's going to hopefully continue on, and hopefully money won't get in the way. I know money kind of supersedes everything, but hopefully it'll, I don't know, just be different.
For sure. And it's interesting because it makes me think of like what does swimming need? And definitely your points are very valid. I actually haven't heard like that perspective before we brought up. And I find it really cool. And it makes me think of too, like just maybe the rise of like, more media coverage and like people that are doing great jobs, like Kyle Sockwell, right? Like he's someone who just is like nonstop 24/7 around the clock. I mean, it's his job now, partnered with USA Swimming too, to be like this influencer. But it's like you need people like that to like really just bring the fun out of swimming and just like these inventive creative ideas, and just like get more discourse around like, oh my God, what if we did a swimming NCAA tournament? How cool would it be if we did these head-to-head dual meets and then eventually had like a championship style thing? And so you need sort of ideas like that to be at least just brought up to generate more discourse and just interest around what swimming could offer, because it is such a fun sport. Like I loved when there were certain teams, and I don't know if IU did this, but like with the dual meet and just like changing up the style of the dual meet, where it was like this kind of like fast pace, kind of like a final only type of dual meet. I know, like I think NC State and Texas did one this year. Obviously, there are other schools, even mid majors like Howard and Georgetown, do the battle at the Burr, and it's like this like very like electric. They bring in a DJ, and like fans love that. That's so cool. So there's like finding ways to like make it exciting.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Kyle had a really good tweet the other day that I did really like. Sometimes I think some of his content is a little bit engagement bait, but he did have a really good tweet the other
For
day
sure.
that really made me think. Like he emphasized, I think, something along the lines of like dual meets need to have like weight. They need to have like importance, because right now they're just kind of like we're just kind of wasting money because they don't really mean anything. And I think that's a really big point. If we had some sort of incentive for dual meets, I think that's a really interesting idea, something that could be explored. I don't think the NCAA cares enough to explore to make dual meets interesting, but I think that falls on the coaches to come together and figure out a way to make these meets kind of mean something. I mean, it's kind of sad, dual meets are kind of in an interesting spot because we have some high profile dual meets with Michigan, with Louisville. We'll swim at Texas every now and then. But my sister swims at Penn State, and they don't have any Big Ten dual meets because they're, whatever reason, they just don't feel the need to travel to some of these Big Ten schools.
Oh, they're too far away. There's too much.
So they show up to Big Tens, and they're kind of racing these people for the first time. And I don't know, like, every coach has their own approach, their own philosophy, everything. But I just feel like that, I don't know. I know they're not the only school that kind of does that. Sometimes schools, they just kind of have these mind-boggling dual meet schedules that don't really, I think, benefit the team. I know, like, as a team, like, we really benefit from hard dual meets, where we walk in and we know there's something on the line here. We really need to step up, and we're not just going to steamroll a team. Like, every year we walk into Purdue, it's kind of the the same song and dance. We know what's going to happen. But my senior year, we had a dual meet against Texas, and they were really good at that year. That was when they still had Casper Corbeau and Jake Foster before he kind of came back. That was really fun, though, having Jake back just for the one semester. But Jake was still mostly training with the team, getting ready for NCAA, stuff like that. But they were really strong that year. We knew that it was going to be a really close meet, and it absolutely was. And it forced all of us to like reevaluate our preparation for the meet. It forced all of us to step up and, just kind of put our body in a lot of pain. But with everything that a dual meet is about, you would want in that little Texas dual meet we had that fall. Texas A&M was also there. And ultimately it came down to the final relay. Ultimately we lost, but I think that did wonders for our team in preparing for the end of the season, when we're like, hey, like, we know we kind of have a gauge of where we are in the national standings, and it's going to take that much for us to be at the top if we really want to get after this thing. And I think that really benefited us at NCAAs that year.
Yeah, no, totally. I love that point. Yeah. It does help to have, just more dual meets that are going to like really test your team. And even if you're a team like IU, where it's like, okay, you're one of the best, if not the best teams in the Big Ten consistently. It's like, well, we're okay to like test ourselves and even lose if it comes to that, because at least we're building, at least some like resilience at the end of the day, rather than just like steamrolling over some of these teams. So I like that. Talk to me about just like, I guess, the excitement that went behind. I just thought of this, but like the excitement that went behind kind of feeding off of the big team title that your women at IU were able to capture this year, and just like the fashion that they did, and then able to like, kind of turn around and do your own thing at Big Tens. Like what was that? What were those couple weekends like? Because like looking back at that IU victory for the women's team, that was like crazy. It's kind of hard because it kind of get like, people talk about it, but then it kind of, you have to move on. Life moves on. You kind of go towards the next thing, NCAAs, whatnot. But like, that was so huge. It was just crazy the way it shaped out.
Yeah. That was absolutely ridiculous. I was there on that Saturday. We knew it was going to be close. We figured a bunch of us went up, and the guys went up and supported the girls. I was also there to watch my sister at Penn State. She's
right, at Penn State. Yep.
So I was there it was a 2-for-1, watching her, seeing my family, and then cheering on the girls. And I can honestly say I've never had a meet as exciting as that before. Like, really honest, in my entire 15-year swimming career, I've had a couple like high school dual meets that went down to the last relay and we won, whatever. But like, it was nothing like that. Literally every event, every heat, A, B, and C final, like the platform divers, like literally everything went into winning that title. And it was just so incredible to see. And I think it was just a testament to who we are, like, kind of, in our fight song, never daunted, we cannot falter, as part of our alma mater here at IU. And I think that they really lived that. They would just kind of stood across the deck from Ohio State, looked them in the face and said, bring it on. And I think, at the end of the day, we just have a lot of badasses on our team, and they really, they showed it. Their actions spoke a lot louder than their words. I know after we DQ'd the 4 medley relay on Thursday, I think. And I know those Ohio State, the people in the Ohio State bleachers and on the deck as well, they were cheering because we DQ'd the relay. And those girls on our team took that to heart, woke up the next day, and they just went after it. And then later that night, OSU DQ'd their 2 free relay, and our bench was silent. They didn't say a word. We just walked off deck and said, all right, tomorrow's our last day. Let's go get it. Score is 0-0. So I don't know. It was a great battle. Obviously, Ohio State gave us everything we could handle. They've won 4 in a row. The score, if you want to go back for the 5th years, the score is 4-1, in the favor of Ohio State. But something really sweet about going out on top for the senior class and for the 5th years as well. And it was just, I'll never. I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack, like in the stands. Like, it was just so ridiculous, and you could feel like the tension and the sitting with the IU parents, and even like I don't know, the Penn State parents were getting behind us. It was pretty exciting. Everyone just knew what a big moment it was. And there's something sweet. I don't know, a little bit of, I wouldn't say that Purdue is our biggest rival in the pool, but definitely as a school, they're our biggest rival. And we started our winning streak at Purdue 2 years ago, and the women, they won their Big Ten title at Purdue, and I think they're in a really good spot to repeat next year. So something about jumping in that diving well at Purdue is pretty sweet. But it was, what a great experience. And then, turning it around and having our Big Tens a week later, honestly, pretty boring. Really, like after that women's meet, like we just kind of walked in, we're like, okay, like let's just get things started off on the right foot. Had a good first night of relays, won the 2 medley, won the 8 free, turned around the next morning. Our first full day is always super weak for whatever reason. I don't know why, but we just don't really have, I think we're just a really stroke heavy team in those hundreds and 200s on the final 2 days. And we just don't have that many bodies on the first day. So we were, I don't think we ever were in a big hole this year, but I remember last year at Big Tens at one point we were in like 5th place after the 500 free or like 290 or something. It was pretty funny, and then we just ended up winning the meet by like 300 points, just because we had so many breaststrokers, so many backstrokers, so many butterflyers. But yeah, this year, I mean, it was. I don't want to say winning Big Tens is never a letdown. That feeling never gets old. I promise. But the women's meet. The women's meet was just everything you ever want, not just in swimming, but in sports. Like, it was just incredible. Hats off to them. And honestly, it's going to be funny next year, just like, because they're going to be really, really good. Like, I think Ohio State loses something like north of 300 points with graduation, and we only lose like, I don't know, 60 or something. And we got a really good freshman class and a couple of really good transfers coming in. So they're going to be definitely favored to repeat. And it'll be, I think I'll be there for that one to watch my sister and watch the girls again. So I think it's at Ohio State again. So again, something about, I don't know, this sport is really funny. Karma is really funny. It's really great I'll be on the other sides now in the stands.
It's awesome. What year is your sister at Penn State?
She's going to be a junior.
A junior, so, okay. And what events is she specializing in?
She is like my dad. She's a distance swimmer. So she's a grinder. She's one of the toughest, most badass, hardest working women I've ever met, people I've ever met. Love her to death, and it's been so fun. I'm so upset that we never had a dual meet together or like a mid-season or something. Really, not that I could control it, but it was definitely one of the biggest regrets of my career, just like that not really working out. Would have loved to do a meet with her, but it's okay. Life goes on, so I'll be able to see her a lot more now that I'm done. So
yeah, exactly. If not to, I mean, you're obviously an IU guy through and through. Someone who I'm sure is just like enjoy their time there completely. But they're like looking back, like, is there any other school where you like looked around and you were like, dang it, what would have been like to kind of like been on their team, or just like even just with some of those training partners, or in another life almost.
Yeah, I definitely, I think every athlete goes through that. What if I went here? What if I went there? But honestly, like as I got older, really like the last 3 years, once we kind of got out of COVID, I really like that stuff kind of went away. I really just I really thought about it, and a lot of it was just the grass is looking greener than it actually is. I just found a place where I knew I was going to be like happy and successful outside of swimming. And you can't replace that. Like, okay, like maybe I would have been a faster swimmer if I went here, if I went there. But like, I don't really think I would have been the same person. I don't think I would have had the support. I wouldn't have been as close to home as I am here. I'm only like an hour and a half flight away from home, which is really, really big. A lot of the other schools I was looking at were pretty far away. So I really like no regrets at all. Like, sure, maybe it would have been cool, like being here, being there, being on a national title winning team. That was a really big goal of mine going into college. But like, how could I look back and really say I have any regrets other than, I don't know. I didn't have a duel with my sister. So.
Right. That's the big one. I like that point that you just brought up about just, like, yeah, you could kind of look around at other teams and be like, oh, it could be cool to be a part of a national winning title with them, or certain thoughts that are kind of passing when you're looking at certain programs. But at the end of the day, I like your point about, like there's more than just swimming to like your college experience. And even if you're a D1, like Power 5 conference person who's looking to achieve like the highest sort of markings in the sport, like there is still more to swimming. Swimming is a part of your life, but it's not your identity, or it shouldn't be, at least. Like,
Right.
I think athletes deal with that all the time, especially life after swimming. Okay, now what does my identity look like? I'm no longer, a full-time swimmer. I'm trying to look for a full-time job. I'm trying to get interests in other things. I deal with that, and even now, not deal with it, but like I just try to navigate it. Because
Right.
I love swimming and I want it to be a part of my life always, hence why I do this stuff. But I also need to like detach at times and find other things I'm interested in. So what was it about IU? And you can even touch on the swimming side too, not just moving away from it. But what was it about IU when you think on it now? I mean, you just graduated. Congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
About just like your time there, and like what worked. What worked well, and what are going to be like some of your takeaways or things that you might even tell other people about, IU, and maybe why they should consider going there. And even, being a part of the swim team, of course, because that is a big chunk of the time you spent there.
Yeah. I mean, I just found like, when visiting Bloomington six years ago, holy cow.
Yeah.
When visiting Bloomington 6 years ago for the first time, I just really found a place where like I just saw myself being here. That was really it. Like I just got
Mm.
that feeling everybody describes. I found like outside of swimming, like I found a place where I'm like I could see myself living here, being a part of this community, being a successful, happy person, regardless of whether I continue swimming or not. And that is absolutely what I found. And I just really wish that everyone finds that, whether it's here or somewhere else. I've just had such a great experience. It was really easy decision for me to do a fifth year. And I think also, regardless of me doing a fifth year, our team like really like if you look at other colleges around the country, like there's a reason that like people do fifth years here. Like we just have something special that very few other people don't, and a lot of people have a lot of
Mm.
things to say about this program, but if you look at the numbers, like our retention rate for fifth years is ridiculous. Like we've had so many fifth years. I've been so blessed. The fifth year decision was really easy because I was so blessed to have so many fifth years before me that really wanted to do it, and they just really knew like just kind of how special this place was, and they showed me the way like of what you can accomplish in your fifth year. And it was a really strange year this year, just kind of being really old and kind of like one foot in, 1 foot out of being on the team. But like, not only do we have a lot of fifth years, but almost all of them stayed at IU. We have one this year, Ella Ristic, who's transferring to USC, but she's had a phenomenal career at IU. She's really loved her time here, and ultimately they just didn't have an academic program for her at IU. And she's going back home to USC, and I know during COVID, she really, I think, was missing home a little bit. It'll be really great for her to be back home with her family in Los Angeles. But she's literally like the only one that has gone elsewhere for a fifth year. Whereas you look at other schools, some people, I mean, they do fifth years elsewhere and they just completely blow it up. And that's just really the opposite of the experience that we have here. We all just love being here, and we just know how special this place is. And we want to pay it back to the team almost. Like we just want to make sure that we show the underclassmen what this team's really about. And it was just, I don't know, we've all had such good experiences here, and I've really enjoyed it.
Totally. Yeah. And just moving to like the intricacies of the swimming program, like did your men and women's team practice together throughout, your time there and throughout the seasons? Like, are you guys a sort of a combined program in that way where you are swimming together most practices, even lifting together, or is there that separation between men and women's sort of identities?
There's very little separation, honestly. Really, like the biggest separation is the championship meets, which are
Right.
Separate for men and women. Big Tens and NCAAs, but like literally every other meet, every other practice, every other lift that we do, every other team activity, going out to dinner, breakfast, whatever. It'll be guys, girls, totally, I don't know, totally immersed. And that's something I was looking for kind of coming into college. my club team was pretty similar, where it was we didn't really have like a men's team, women's team identity. It was kind of just one team identity, and I think that's definitely something that we have here. And it's been really great to see just like how far the women's team has come in the past couple of years. I know during COVID they didn't have some of the best outings, but it's now they're rock solid. They have a lot of really great underclassmen coming in, some really great upperclassmen showing the way, and I know they're going to be really successful for years to come.
From your perspective, what are maybe like some tendencies you noticed, or just like aspects of like Coach Ray Lew's that just like work really well from like a leadership point of view, and just like maybe the way that you even clicked with him, or like some of the other coaches? I'm mentioning Ray, but like some of the other coaches on the coaching staff, because I feel like leadership, kind of stems from the coaches, but then it trickles down to the team, where it's like, okay, we're also putting this on you guys to deal with, conflicts on the team or certain things that come up. So I don't know, from a leadership perspective, I guess I'm asking, it could be broad, but like, what do you think are things that just worked well to kind of like hold the culture of IU swimming strong?
I think Ray's biggest thing, and honestly his biggest critique that people have, is that he's like a hard ass, which is true. It's totally true. But also part of that is like Ray, I think the biggest thing Ray's done for me that I'm grateful for is like he's made me, like made our teammates like do hard things that we don't want to, so that when like hard situations come up at like a meet, or well, I guess specifically at a meet, like we'll be ready for it. Like we will totally be ready for it. Like I know Ray like has pushed us so hard this year because it's been an Olympic year, and because we really, both men and women's teams, had the opportunities to do something really, really good at the end of the season. And I know like if he didn't push us as hard as it's harder than we wanted to be, like, I don't know, if he didn't get us out of our comfort zone, I don't think the women would have won Big Tens. I don't think we would have had the year that we did. I don't think I would have been able to repeat as NCAA champion. And I think that's just like I think a lot of critiques of Ray just aren't very nuanced. I just think a lot of it is a reflection of like the person giving that critique, and like how they can't really handle, like Ray. I'll say Ray is not the best communicator. Like he really, sometimes he has the right message but the wrong like output. But if you can kind of put that aside and just know where he's coming from, which, you really have to know Ray well to kind of understand that. I think the freshmen, sometimes it takes a little bit for them to figure out Ray. But if you understand like where he's coming from, and just like how much he cares about you, how much he cares about this team, how much he cares about the sport, then like he is going to be like great. You guys are going to get along really well, and it's just going to be, I've had such a great relationship with Ray over the last 5 years. He's really pushed me out of my comfort zone so many times, and done, forced me to do so many things that I didn't want to do. I mean, even the swimmer fly, swimmer back double, the first time I did it at Big Tens, I really didn't want to. Like I really was so against it. I didn't think I could do it. It was the year going into our first Big Ten team title that I won at Purdue. And it was coming down to it. And he's like, I really think you should do this. Like, I really think you're capable. Like, I wouldn't tell you I think you should do it if I didn't think you were capable. And something like, if you do it, you'll be like remembered forever. Like, you'll be a hero. And I'm like, well, that's pretty interesting. I don't know. And I did it. And then I won both races, and it worked out in my favor. And I was like, well, thank you, Ray. Like, seriously, like that really, that's become like a defining characteristic of my college career. And I almost didn't do it, but Ray like forced me to double down and bet on myself. And I'm really just super grateful for that. And I think a lot of other people that have had success with Ray would totally say a similar experience, where they just really, he's all about just getting the most out of your athletes. And that's what I was looking for. So just super grateful.
Definitely. Yeah, I love it. I think I remember in a post-race interview, might have been at NCAA's, like you giving that shout out, like you were like, so much of this, comes down to just like my coaches and believing in me, and just like, giving me the tools to be able to produce something like this. And I was like, wow, I was like, that's like really cool for a swimmer who just like achieved that, like they themselves, like that's you achieving that, that time, that win, but you're giving, yet at the same time, you're giving so much of the sort of like praise, away to your coaches. You're like, this is a huge reason as to why I'm able to produce this. It goes towards my coaches, it goes towards my teams, it goes towards the support. Like, it's not just me. This takes a village type of mentality, and I thought it was really
Totally.
cool.
Yeah,
Um,
it really does. Like my family and my coaches, like all that stuff is totally true. I could never have done any of this on my own. So
For sure. I think that's a cool thing about sport, even like if it is more individualized, like something like swimming, as far as the performance, not because it is. But I had this conversation the other day. It's not individual at all. Like that's a misconception.
yeah,
Um, but obviously, when it comes down to you behind the blocks, getting ready to go, like that's you. You against you in a way. But yeah, it does. That's a cool thing about sport in general. It's just like the community aspect of it and how much it takes from everyone around you to be able to produce results, and just like moments and memories. So that's really cool. And then I guess just like final couple questions on this topic. When you like look back sort of at, I guess, some of the training, or you talked about doing hard things, and just, yeah, like overall sort of, it could be strength and conditioning routine, or just like, I'm always interested in the actual training involved. Like, I mean, because again, like you came in, I was just doing some research. I mean, you were really, lightning quick high school swimmer. Like 4,600 back, 142 two back, 142 two fly, and yet you were able to drop time in all those events significantly by the end of your career at IU. 43 one back, 138 two fly, 138 two back, doing the dirty double. And like that's tremendous to be able to like already go from someone who's extremely quick as a high school swimmer, and then just like really just like blow away some of those times, and just continue to improve, and obviously become NCAA champ in two of those events, like one back, two fly, NCAA champ, and two back, I mean, a finalist, right? Like really quick, and going 138, a final, like that's crazy. That's not even like a winning time at the NCAA. So like, what do you just, I guess, like when you look at the training and you look at the stuff, um, the actual intricacies of what you guys did at IU, like what do you think really helped, or what were some sets that really pushed you, or like things that you can remember that were like really tough but you really enjoyed?
yeah. I mean, in retrospect, a lot of really brutal practices that I've done at IU.
Oh,
I
sure.
think two of them, well, really, two of them stand out, and they were both from the training trips that I was a part of. It was our kick out group, which is like our underwater focus group, and two. I can read it. I have it on my phone. Hold on, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
So this set is on a Thursday afternoon. We're already pretty beat down, pretty tired from the training trip. We're really just kind of going through it, and then this Thursday afternoon, we're kind of at the end of the week, but not really. And then we just kind of get this dropped on our head. So this main set is just a bunch of resisted cord stuff, a bunch of underwater like fins with socks, a bunch of chutes, and the big killer set at the end is the twice through 2 300s underwater body position kick by 25. So basically, it's a 300 where you're underwater for the first 25, you flip, turn at the wall, and you have a snorkel on, so you're on the surface, not in a streamline on the second 25, and you're just like kind of bobbing up and down,
Mm,
kicking, and it's pretty brutal. And then we go into 425s with fins, max distance, which basically means we're trying to take like 3 or 4 kicks, like ideally like
okay.
3. So you're kind of just you're underwater, not really doing anything. You're really underwater a lot longer than you want to. And then at the end of the set, 650s on 40, 200 pace. Go. I have to hold like 23s and 24s. I'm getting like 15 seconds rest, and we just did all that crazy like breath work underwater. Luke Ryan is the mastermind of that brutal practice, and so this was 2 years ago. That practice was 2 years ago, and then this year we did basically the same set. We did 3 rounds. So I did 1850s 200 pace on 40, And it is, I mean, like I saw Jesus, like I saw God. Like I literally at the end that third round, I did it all fly this year. I think the year before
Oh,
I did 1 round fly, 1 round back. It just, I mean, all of us got out of the pool, and we just we were just like this, just oh my God, it literally killed all of us. Guys, girls, same interval, no difference. But you know what, man, those sets, like I really like if I want to look back at something that allowed me to do the dirty double, it's that. Like I get
mm,
through that, and like that dirty double is nothing. Like it
wow.
is just like, I've done this so many times before. It was epic. It's like really everything you want a training trip practice to be, and like then some. Just because like a lot of times, like sometimes the training trip sets, like stereotypically, it'll just be ridiculous yardage or like ridiculous intervals, whatever. But like this one is just like, okay, I know what this practice is for. Like I
Yeah,
know why I'm doing this, and that was like the ultimate motivator, for the end of the
for sure.
season. So
I
that's a
love
big
it.
one, I think. So
Yeah, I love it.
yeah,
That's yeah. When I think back to training trip, weeks that I had at college too, like there would always be those certain practices where you're just like, wow, this is gonna kick my ass. Like this is actually just gonna destroy me. But like there's no out. Like I'm here for it. I know this is gonna make me better. Teammates are gonna be doing it too, so I'm not the only one. And those are the mental tricks you kind of have to I feel like play to be able to then go and do it,
right.
no matter how brutal it is. And yeah, you come out and like you said, that puts things into perspective where it's like, okay, I'm able to do this. So this two fly, two back, crazy double maybe from the outside, looking in is much more kind of like manageable
Mhm.
mentally and physically. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
it
cool.
was. Yeah, just I don't know. It's all in the preparation.
Definitely. Like any, I don't know, like advice because you're someone who's kind of mastered underwaters. Like I feel like, and it like just uses them so effectively, in your backstroke and butterfly. Like any advice to younger swimmers trying to, just develop like a real knack for good underwaters, or even like I don't know, even it could go beyond that too, just like training habits and like certain things. If they're really trying to maximize like their swimming potential, like would you have advice for them?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of it on the physical side of things. A lot of it is I'm very flexible through my spine, very
Mhm.
flexible through my shoulders, my hips, things like that. Pretty strong with the legs, with the core. The underwater is really it's a lot of core strength in legs as well, obviously. But I'd say more of it honestly is on the mental side. Like I've been
Mm,
told by several coaches, and I think this is really good advice. It's it's just being tough. Like literally at the end of the day, like underwaters, it is not the most technically like complicated thing in the sport of swimming. But at the end of the day, you make a decision. Like underwaters are a decision. Like if you want to get to 15 meters, you got to be. It's between the ears. Like so, yeah. I think a lot of it is just like you just have to look at it head on and kind of embrace it. And I think that's what the best underwater swimmers in the world do. I really,
def-
yeah, that's just what I've really embraced.
yeah, I like it. Yep, that mental kind of click to just be like, okay, we're committing to this. It's gonna
Mhm.
suck. It's gonna hurt.
Yep.
There's nothing glamorous about it except for the people watching me
Right.
and seeing how cool this is. But for me, I'm literally putting myself in oxygen deprivation and
Mhm.
going so fast. But
Kill a couple brain cells, I'm sure, but I'll get those back eventually. So,
yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna finish up just kind of making a full circle back to Olympic trials. Like, what are your, what are your goals? Just looking at OTs and obviously, you kind of compared just to like short course yards and like your teammate Kai. Like, you're not the best long course swimmer, maybe compared to like your success as a yard swimmer, and your ability to like utilize the underwaters and the walls. Long course doesn't translate maybe the same, but like, what are your goals? I mean, do you have like some goals heading into OTs or even like hopes of maybe sneaking in a spot? I mean, I know it's crazy competitive. So I don't know. I guess just what are your kind of like hopes coming out of this meet?
yeah, I mean, performance goals. I mean, I think honestly, everybody kind of has the same goal going into the meet. It's first of all, the only thing you can do out of prelims and the events that I'm swimming is make semis. So,
Yeah.
that's goal number one. And if that
Mhm.
happens, great. But I think more importantly, the goal for trials is really just enjoy it, enjoy the experience. It's going to be,
Yeah.
regardless of performance, it's going to be such an incredible experience. I'm going to have teammates that are going to be on the Olympic team. Like that is
Yeah.
like such a cool thing to say. It's going to be such a cool thing to watch. Already on the American team, we already have Mariah Denigan on the American team, and then a bunch of foreigners as well. And it's just going to be a really big celebration of all of our hard work that we've put in. I know it's going to be a lot of people's last and final swim meet, and that's going to be really special to celebrate with all those people. A lot of people I'm friends with are like, yeah, I'm calling it after trials, and I think I'm probably going to be in the same boat. And I'm really just looking forward to enjoying the time that I'm spending here in Bloomington, and also just translating that into the time I'll spend in Indy. So
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Any teammates, American, I guess, based teammates that are going to be, part of this IU group heading over that are really, kind of some front runners to be making, a spot at the Olympic team?
yeah, I think Lily as a pro, obviously. I mean, honestly, someone who's looked real dangerous for the last couple months is Blake Peroni. Don't call it a
Oh,
comeback.
Blake.
Blake
That's right.
is like, he is looking really good. So
He's a
but he's
beast.
kind of in the same boat. He's not too worried about it. He's been there twice before. 3 Olympic gold medals in your pocket, not too shabby. He's just having fun. He really just wanted to come back to do a meet. I think if this meet wasn't in Indiana, I don't think Blake would have come back and swam. But I think he's really
Mhm.
just really appreciative of everything the sport has given him, and he just wanted to go out in a really special way. How cool is it to kind of send out your home career on your send out your career on your home turf. Then I think varsity swimmers, I think Josh Matheny and Anna Peplowski, I mean, I think they're really, Josh might make 2 events. Anna might make an individual spot in that 2 free. I think they're both looking really, really good heading into trials, but obviously anything can happen at that meet, as we all know. So I think those are some of my picks right now. And who knows, maybe someone else will pop off a good swim and
Yeah.
sneak into that final. And once you're in that final, anything can happen. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be awesome.
Favorite memory from IU kind of career that you can look back on, or memories?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one in particular. Favorite race definitely was the 100 backstroke at Big Tens my junior year. So the first year we won Big Tens, I was in the final with my teammates, Jacob Steele and Gabriel Fantoni, who were 5th years at the time. And those guys, like, if I want to give credit to someone other than my family, my coaches, for my, like, I don't know, my backstroke success that I've had in the last couple of years, it's absolutely those 2 guys right there. They really just, they were 5th years. I looked up to them so much, and I learned so much from both of them. And just, like, I don't know, backstroke was always kind of secondary for me coming into college. And then because of those guys, like, I really kind of flipped the switch and was able to drop a lot of time. But in that final, it was just a kind of a slugfest between us and Ohio State, and Hunter Armstrong was in that final. He had beaten me on the 4 medley relay leadoff the night before, and he broke the Big Ten record leading off the relay. And I think he was like the number 1 time in the country. And this meet, I mean, it was super close, kind of not as close as the girls, obviously, but this meet was a little bit similar, where if we kind of slipped up at all, we would have lost to Ohio State, and literally every point mattered. And it was, I mean, Hunter was just coming off an Olympic gold medal from the Olympics the year before, and it was just a really big kind of turning point moment where we went in, I think we were up by a little bit before the 100 backstroke, but then me, G, and Steele, we went 1-3-4.
Oh,
And
wow.
Hunter got second, and you could just feel, like, the energy switch, like total momentum shift to us. And we just kind of knew that we weren't going to lose after that. And I got out of the pool after that one too. But that time I just wanted to go over and celebrate with my teammates, Steele and Fantoni, because Hunter was in between us. And there's, like, probably my all-time favorite picture from like my college career, where we're just kind of like hugging each other after the race, and we're looking at the scoreboard, and we're just like really excited because we knew how big of a moment it was. And so yeah, I'd say that's definitely probably my favorite moment.
I love it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, being able to do that with your teammates and just put it like an emphatic sort of just shift on the meet and where you can feel it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up. I really love you kind of just giving us some insight into the IU kind of career and everything. But I'm gonna wrap up with some fun sort of quick hits here.
let's do
So
it.
first question is going to be, if you could choose a superpower, what would it be and why?
I think I would choose telekinesis. I think the
Hmm.
ability to control things with my mind. I think that's also, I've heard that's kind of a hack answer because you can kind of embody any superpower with telekinesis because you can make yourself fly, you can make yourself invisible. So I think the all encompassing telekinesis would be my answer.
For sure. No, I love it. Yeah, telekinesis has definitely been an answer people like giving. But hey, who wouldn't want to, to read, be able to control things with your mind?
It'd be cool.
Um, if you could participate in the Olympics for another sport besides swimming, what would it be?
I think I'd have to switch up the Olympics, the 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 year of the Olympics and go Winter Olympics. I
Yep.
think I'd go skiing. I think
Nice.
skiing would be really cool. It's similar, not very similar to swimming, but it's still a race. You're still kind of putting the pressure on yourself. Really leg dominant, aerobically dominant sport, and it looks cool. It's challenging. It's a little bit dangerous. I think it would be just the thrill of a lifetime to fly down the mountain and win an Olympic gold medal.
For sure. Yeah, I love it. I appreciate the winter sport shout out there. And then what's a movie you could watch or rewatch over and over again?
So I'm a pretty big movie buff. Some would call me an insufferable one, and I think I'd have because I just like I don't know my taste in movies is a little skewed. I'd definitely have to go. I think Singing in the Rain from
Nice.
1954. Something about that movie is just I kind of consider it like just like the pinnacle of like entertainment, just like the performances and it's a musical, and I just think it's like the pinnacle of entertainment. Just like
Nice.
singing, dancing, physical comedy. It's filmed in Technicolor. The colors of that movie, when you watch it on like a screen or like a really good TV, they just like it's so vivid. They just don't make
Mm,
movies. They don't make a lot of movies are just kind of like grayscale now, and they just kind of look like crap and depressing. But like all just watching that movie and just seeing all the colors is like totally eye opening for me. I don't know. That's my little rant. But
love it.
it'd probably have to be Singing in the Rain.
Nice. Well, I can appreciate another movie buff. I'm for sure in that boat too. So that's
Awesome.
awesome.
Sweet.
Um, a pump up or go to song, either. Well, I would say, yeah, a pump up or go to song that you would go, you would go with behind the blocks or just leading up to a big race, NCAA's, wherever it was, that really struck a chord with you.
So I wouldn't say I don't really listen to music before my races. I kind of just zone out. But before Big Tens last year, we were on the bus, like going over for finals every session. that that's when Boys a Liar Part Two came out, and our team for some reason like all these guys, like all the dudes, I want to say it's like a girly song. I don't really like putting labels on things like that, but we just like attached ourselves to it, and we were part of like Munch Army for Ice Spice, and it was just so much fun just listening to that song. We like knew all the words by the end of the meet, so I'd say that's my pick for Boys a Liar Part Two.
Nice, nice, I love it. Final question: are you a fan of a Get Out Swim? And if so, do you have a favorite memory, either from your time as club swimmer, high school swimmer, college swimmer, of a good, successful or unsuccessful Get Out Swim?
Um, yeah, no, I love Get Out Swims. I would say that I've been the like Get Out Swim magnet since I've been like 12 years old. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think it's done me well being in that position. But a favorite Get Out Swim, I know I can't really think of a huge like momentous get out swim, but I do know one time I was I think it was like my sophomore or junior year. It was during that kick out practice that I described earlier. Not that specific one, but like that group. And I remember Luke asked me like, "What do you think you could go in a 200 back right now?" And I was like, "Oh, like I think I could." At the time, I hadn't broken 140 before, and I really hadn't been that fast in a dual meet. I think I'd only been like 144, 145. So I was like, "Oh, like I think I could be like 146 or something." Like I don't really know. And he's like, "Okay, 145.9, like go." And so I did it, and I think I was like 143.1, which like would have been my fastest dual meet time ever at that point, and I was like really excited about it. And I think that
Definitely.
gave me a lot of confidence going into like the rest of my career. The backstroke and like the 200 backstroke could be a real event for me versus just something that I kind of leave in the dust. And yeah, I think that's my pick for that.
Nice. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, all right. Well, Brendan, thanks so much for joining on. I definitely took up a good amount of your time here, but I super appreciate it.
It's all
And
good. Thank you so much, James.
yeah,
This is awesome. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, great. Yeah, we'll definitely have to follow you along at the OTs and the rest of the IU group. And yeah, dude, just been awesome chopping it up about swimming. You're someone who I could tell is just super passionate beyond just like yourself and the IU team as a swimmer, but you have a lot of good insight on like, just the kind of the world of college swimming and swimming in general. So I hope that maybe you could, I don't know, just continue to kind of like voice your opinion here and there. That would be kind of cool. I feel like, I could totally see that.
I've been
Yeah.
looking, yeah, honestly, thank you for that. First of all, super kind words. I have been looking kind of for that outlet where I can, because I mean, I think this is something where I really don't see myself like kind of like never looking at swam again, or like never watching Big Tens or NCs or even the other conference meets. I really don't see myself just completely walking away. So I'm definitely looking for a way where I can, continue my journey in the sport of swimming, but in a different outlet. And also, I think volunteer coaching is definitely in my future. I definitely see myself kind of doing that a little bit, but on the,
Sure.
that's kind of like beginner level, I would say, kind of giving back to the sport. But I think the dream, honestly, is finding a way to get in that booth to announce some kind of meet. I'd love to get in there for whatever it may be, Big Tens, NCs. I mean, I'll do like Pennsylvania High School State. I really love that
Yeah.
meet. I really enjoyed just going to that meet and kind of the history behind that meet. Literally, if anyone's watching this, I will hop in the booth at any time. I really love doing that kind of stuff. So I'd love to continue this journey in swimming in some form or fashion. And yeah, I don't know, but thank you for that, for the kind words.
For sure. Yeah. Well, we need some more voices in swimming. So people who are passionate, knowledgeable, for sure. I'm behind it all the way. So cool, Brendan. Well, thanks again. And yeah, we'll keep in touch. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.